Greetings, everyone. This is Amazing China live broadcast from Sichuan News Agency. I'm David reporting from the Great Canyon of Jinsha River. This canyon is a natural boundary between China's two southwestern provinces, Sichuan and Yunnan. For the past 2 decades, local villagers from this site have been dependent on a dangerous cableway to go to school, hospital, or practically anywhere other than their own homes. But today, the cableway, arguably the highest of its kind in Asia, is going to retire because over there, a modern bridge is about to be operating and take over its job. So we are here today to witness the historical transition of how people travel in this mountainous area. This cableway has, for the past 2 decades, remained the only way for the local people to travel around. So now follow me and let's take a closer look at how it operates. So this is the Mr. Zhang. He's 73 years old and has been running this cableway for 2 decades. So this is how the machine looks like. As you can see, this is the device that controls the opening and closing of the device. And this is for controlling of the direction, whether it's moved forwards or backwards. This is for a pause button. So Mr. Zhang says that it may look straightforward, but it can be tricky to operate because he has to use his naked eye to determine if the cargo here has arrived at the other side. If he didn't stop, if he doesn't stop in time, it may hit the wall. Then you need to cut electricity and insert the stick to stop the wheel from rolling. The machinery looks simple and straightforward, but it can be tricky to operate. Mr. Zhang usually only operates it with daylight because he has to use his naked eyes to see if the steel basket reaches the other side, and he needs to take a pause before it hits the wall. And because one-way fare charges less than $1, and in practice, his income stays at $150 a month, no one else wants to take a similar position. This cableway has remained the only way of transport for local people since 1999. It's run by a local man, Mr. Zhang, who is 73 years old now. As you can see, the engine is adapted from a farm tractor. The wheel pulls a steel cable. Then the steel cable carries the steel basket forward or backwards. The steel cables are 480 meters long and sit 270 meters above the river. A modern bridge is about to be operating and take over its job. This area has been stricken with the poor infrastructure because this area has not been connected to either electricity or water until 1994. And with the opening of this new bridge, it's going to it will help alleviate the poverty problem because it will facilitate the movement of people and goods, services. So they are going to see much more opportunities for the improvements of local life. Now we see two local villagers on board. They are going to the county. The steel cables are 480 meters long and sit 270 meters above the river. Watch the cliffs on the background. It looks like clean-cut bread slices. I would like to remind you again that the cableway has long been the only transport available for local villagers. Because of the remote and difficult location of this village, it is yet to be linked with any road. Poor transport poses a serious setback for the development of the region. Many people have moved outside, either by working in cities or marrying people from outside, and settled down elsewhere. This kind of cableway used to be quite common across the Great Canyon and in China's West Inland. Fatal incidents going cableways did happen. The cables could wear out, but there were no sufficient funds to test or replace them. But in the end, people have no choice but to use it anyway to visit relatives, go to schools, or go to the market. That's why the newly built bridge will make a huge difference. Mr. Jiang usually only operates it with daylight because he has to use his naked eyes to see if the steel basket reaches the other side, and he needs to take a pause before it hits the wall. And because one-way fare charges less than $1, and in practice, his income stays at $150 a month. No one else wants to take a similar position. The machine looks simple and straightforward, but can be tricky to operate. Now we are going on board and experience how it feels to be in the middle of the air, above the up hundreds of meters above the river. Wow. So you can see the signs here. It calls safety first, and you need to belt properly, and say to raise the rope in order for Mr. Jiang here to operate the machine. Okay, so here we go. Wow, look at the great view. You can see the newly built bridge and also the great canyon. The muddy water flows all the way into Jinsha River and possibly will flow into Shanghai. Over there, the newly built bridge. That is the bridge we talk about today, and it's going to replace this historical cableway. You can also hear the sounds of the wheels rubbing against the rope. The first time I came here, it really feels a bit like your life depends on the strength of the rope. The bridge is 385 meters long and is 200 meters above the river. It takes 2.5 years to complete the project. Now, literally, we are flying there now. Now take a look at the village. That is the village belongs to Yunnan province. So people live here with the only way the only way for them to travel outside is through this rope. Now everyone I met in the village says they are very thrilled at the news of the new built bridge. I'm actually thinking about taking a selfie here because it's probably the last time for me to be in some risky cableway like this one. Now we are approaching the end of the rope. We're going to take a stop here and then walk away into the newly built bridge. Right. So you have to rely on self. The passengers have to move this door from the outside. Okay. Here we go. All right. Okay, we are going to say goodbye to this cableway. It's like a very unforgettable experience for me. Now we're going to walk several hundred meters down the Jinsha River, where we're going to see how the newly built bridge looks like. Hello there. So finally, we have reached the new bridge, which will link the two provinces of southwest China. The size of the bridge is not outstanding. It's about 380 meters long, but it costs $10 million and 2.5 years to build it. So why it costs so tremendously? Now, standing beside me is the chief engineer of this project, and we will ask him about why it's so hard to build this project. 那么戴总，您能不能给我们简单介绍一下，就是这座大桥施工过程当中主要有哪些难点？
这个项目施工的难点的话，主要有2个。第一个方面就是由于当地地形条件，然后就四川和云南两岸是没有任何公路相连接的，然后就相当于是我云南施工的话，所有的设备材料、人员，然后就过江运输的问题需要下一步解决。然后，项目和公司的话，依靠公司技术力量嘛，然后就根据当地的地形地势，然后就布置了临时的调运系统，相当于是就通过缆绳，然后将所有设备，然后调运到江对岸，然后解决江对岸的基础施工的问题。
So he mentioned the first challenge is about logistics problem, because as we know, the other side of the canyon is not linked to any road. So because we need to build bridge from both sides, so we need to build temporary bridges and towers, and then we carry the people and equipment from this side to the other side in order to build the bridge. And so the second challenge is about the huge winds, because from October to March every year, there's a lot of winds here, and they regularly can detect winds that surpass the 10 scale of wind force, which means the wind can carry the force that will be able to destroy the trunks of trees. So in order to solve this problem, they work with researchers from universities to come up with the idea of adding more steel cables to fix the building blocks of the bridge in order to reduce the risks of the workers on sites. So we are going to now move a little bit forward to over to the bridge. So from this point to the river below me, it's about 200 meters, which is equivalent of 60 floors. The bridge is about 9 meters wide, so it's able to have 2 lanes, one from each direction. So here is a great canyon. You can see the river downflow to the side of the east. Eventually, it's going to end up in Shanghai or in Yangtze River. It is estimated that tens of thousands of people will benefit from this newly built bridge, and it will solve the problem of how to travel around in this region. And we sincerely hope that things are going to change for the better in the future. Thank you for watching, and this is Amazing China from Xinhua News Agency.